everybody. Welcome to the Worship Summit Live Day 2. My name is John Roberts. I'm happy to be here. I'm the Customer Success Manager here for PTZOptics. If you guys need anything, need help setting up a camera, getting used to a new workflow, or just have any questions about PTZOptics, let me know, and you can reach out to me at john.roberts@PTZOptics. Alrighty, so we have a great show coming up for you guys here today. We have a lot of great speakers. So let's get a quick intro for each of the speakers here. So first up at 12 p.m., we have Will Chapman, who's joining us live from Cottonwood Creek. Next after Will at 12:30, we have Tom Sinclair from Eastern Shore Broadcasting. After that, we also at 1 p.m. have Zac Morgan from Market with Motive. And then at 1:30, finishing up the day, we have Nick Marzock from Full Compass. So we have a great day planned here for you guys. If you guys have any questions at all, don't forget to reach out to us and let us know where you're watching in the comments. We have a great show. We have a little bit of music in between each live presenter, so stick around. And we're going to get the show started right now with Will Chapman. So thanks for joining us, guys, and I'll see you soon.
Hi, everybody. It's so good to see you today. My name is Will Chapman, and I'm the online minister at Cottonwood Creek Church in Allen, Texas. Now, some people asked me before, Will, what is a online minister? And an online minister, the way that I can best describe it is that I'm a station manager. And what I make sure is that I make sure that our content that we produce here at Cottonwood Creek gets out to people. And then I interact with those people through the comments, through emails, through chat rooms, through asynchronous via whether it's, Discord or some other kind of asynchronous way. And I also interact with people who respond to our evangelistic and also our care ministry online ads. We have people that contact us with questions about who is God, who is Jesus, or things like winter services meeting, or somebody will respond and say that their marriage is in trouble and they need help. And I serve as kind of like a digital communications or connections director, and I take somebody from where they are and what they're looking for, and I connect them with one of our ministries. And I'm also an executive producer for all of our live broadcasts that we do at Cottonwood Creek. I had the wonderful privilege of starting our media ministry at Cottonwood Creek back in 2004 with just myself and about five other volunteers and one intern. And what I like to tell about my pastor is that he sat me down at a restaurant and we started talking, and then he goes, "Oh, by the way, we meet in a gym, and when can you start?" So the Lord is just blessed, and we have been able to expand the media ministry since 2004 into something today. And I've been able to live out one of my passions is living out Ephesians 4:12 and training up the saints for the work of the ministry. And I've been able to train somebody up, delegate, hand it off, and then go somewhere else. And so now I've kind of landed in this executive producer role at Cottonwood Creek. I'm also a contributing writer at churchproduction.com, where I write education articles and I write training articles and product review articles and things like that to be able to not hurt. Let me make sure I'm not trying to hurt. I'm trying to help everybody in the online streaming, in the church tech community. I'm also a conference speaker, and I love talking with people, and I love helping people learn how to avoid my mistakes that I have made since we've been live streaming since 2008 at Cottonwood Creek. Now, let's get on to what we're going to be talking about today, because what we're going to be talking about today, and I'm going to kind of set up here with a little church tech magic here with a little picture-in-picture thing. What we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about how to increase viewership and engagement with your worship service live stream. I've got that QR code there. Will take you to my contact information. And we'll talk more about this a little bit later on when we go out and do the breakout session in the Q&A room right after my session right here. I'd love for you to ask questions. So come and join me in that Q&A session right after this. But what I want to talk with you about today are some things that I have learned over the years from making mistakes, but also things that I've learned from the friendships and from the people that I've been able to meet and learn from on how to have a growing live stream that includes not only viewers, but includes those all important analytics and engagement numbers. I wrote an article not too long ago about how I believe that smaller churches and ministries can actually have higher engagement than larger churches. I firmly believe that. And so I'm going to be sharing some of these aspects of how you can do grow engagement and grow viewership both. What we're going to look at is we're going to look at these aspects of what it means to be able to do these things. Now, one thing I want to make sure that you know is I want to make sure that you know that this is not just something that is for, I guess, people who are the best way to describe it is people who have the biggest budget. Now, sometimes you may be thinking, well, how in the world am I going to be able to do these things that you do? Because I don't have a big budget. I don't have all of these aspects and things like you do. Well, let me tell you, I started with something very small. I mean, we were meeting in a gym, and what we're going to be seeing is we're going to be seeing that you can successfully have a growing ministry and not even have the biggest budget. And so I want you to be able to see and know this. You may see on our site about how we've got all this stuff and we're doing all these things with video over IP and all that stuff. Let me tell you, I started with a super VHS camera. Okay, that's how crazy it was back then for me. Back in 2008, we didn't even have a digital camera or whatever back then, and they were out. We had a super VHS that we started with. And so, what I want you to be able to see and know is that we're going to be able to look at these things here of different aspects of what makes a good live stream. There's going to be, and this isn't in any particular order. We're going to be looking at video cameras. We're going to be looking at licensing. We're going to be looking at lighting. We're going to be looking at what it means to host chats and comment sections. We're going to be looking at audio and encoding and broadcast platforms. I'm going to give you an overview of all these things and how it can help you and your live stream. But also at the very end of today's session here, I'm going to be answering the question that is a pretty big one right now in the church technology and church media circles. I don't know if you're seeing all the things that are happening online and all of the private groups or on Instagram or on YouTube channels, but people are asking, does the church even need to live stream anymore? Do they even need to be involved in this technology? Do they even need to be online doing these things now that we've come back from the COVID shutdown? So stick around. I'm going to be answering that question here at the end, and I'll just leave it at that. And if you want to ask me questions about it, don't forget, you can join me in the Q&A section. So let's start with the number one, with the highest importance, with the grand poobah, with the El Jefe, as we say here in Texas, where I am, the most important aspect of a live stream. And this may surprise some of you. It's an audio mix. That's exactly right. A good audio mix is the most important part of a live stream. Well, why is this? Well, I think you know the answer is that people today are willing to forgive poor video quality if they see that the audio is solid. Look at YouTube. Look at all of these videos that are gone viral. Look at all these things that you see online. Look at all the things that you see on legacy media, on sports networks, on news stations, on FaceTime, on Google Meet, all of these, other things that you see. Even the platform that we're using today, Zoom. all of these aspects of video are making it and going to millions of viewers. But what do you notice in every single one of them? Well, the video quality changes. But what's solid in every one of them is a solid broadcast mix. People are willing to forgive poor quality video, but they will not forgive bad audio. And they'll jump off. If the audio's bad, man, they'll jump right off. So here's some tips. What you need to do is to increase your audio quality for your live stream by making sure that you're doing some kind of a broadcast mix. Now you're thinking, well, there is no way that I can get a splitter or take my digital snake and do double patching to another audio console. And we don't even have a room that we could put somebody in and to be able to mix our broadcast audio for our live streams. Look, you don't have to do that. There are low budget and even no budget ways that you can use your current equipment, your current soundboard, to be able to pull these things off. What you need to do is learn about submixing, learn about using matrices, learn about using aux buses in what you currently have, and then taking that into your encoder. One of the things that you'll see me come through time and time again here today, and things that I talk about and the things that I've learned over the years, is the parable of the talents. I had to learn a long, long time ago that God wasn't going to bless me with more until I learned how to maximize what he gave me. That was a tough lesson for me. If you don't get anything else today, get this. Practice the parable of the 10 talents in your church and in your ministry, in regards to the gear that you have, in regards to the capabilities that you have. Pour into people, build up that volunteer team. That doesn't cost anything in God's kingdom, but your time and your willingness to be able to pour in and to train and build up and disciple others. And then trust the Lord to be able to bring those gear updates and those things in his timing. But don't be paralyzed in thinking, man, I cannot improve my live stream because I don't have the budget, I don't have the space. You can improve it by implementing principles first, because the principles are timeless. The gear changes, but the principles never change of what it takes to be able to do a live stream. So make sure that you are creative and that you are doing things to be able to increase your video quality. Here's the second thing that we're going to talk about. Now, this may surprise you as well. The second aspect of increasing viewership and engagement in your live stream. I skipped over one. There it is. It is lighting. Lighting is the second most important thing that you need to do. It's the second most crucial part of increasing your viewership. Good stage lighting illuminates the stage, allows your cameras to capture what's happening easily. Good lighting makes it easy on your cameras. Something that people forget about from time to time is they want to spend all this money on all these cameras and all these things, and they go, and their church people go, well, I still can't see the video stream very well. I still can't see pastor. I still can't see these things that are going on. Well, here's why. Because your lighting is not what it needs to be. You need to make sure that you have good lighting to be able to light up your stage, especially your pastor and for your pastor sermon time. Now, if you don't have the budget or the capabilities right now to be able to cover everybody on stage for your live stream or things like that, don't worry about that in the music part. What you want to make sure is rock solid is your pastor and that central focus, because despite what worship leaders may think, people come to our churches, people come to our live streams first and foremost because they want to hear what the pastor has to say. And so we need to make sure that that sermon time, that message time, is we have good audio for it, and that we also have really good lighting for it. And I want you to consider using at least a 3-point lighting system. And if you don't know about the different ways to be able to light a subject that's on stage with different types of lighting, I want you to go out and research that a little bit. There's some great videos on YouTube, and other people have some great resources out there about how to take a lighting plot and how to work on a basic three-point lighting system with a key light that's right in the face. Okay. Now you want to make sure it's about at a 45-degree angle as it's coming in. Make sure it's lit evenly. And the second aspect of a three-point lighting system is the fill light. A fill light is going to be filling in that side here of the face. You can kind of see the shadow there on my face where I've got a light that's going on there to be able to light this side of my face. And then you also are going to want to be able to use some backlight to be able to light up, or what people call hair light, or things like that. What that does is it helps whoever the subject is on your video to be able to pop out from the background. So many live streams and so many things that to me, it looks like, and I even started this when I was just starting out in media ministry, it looked like a deer in the headlights. You know, if you've ever been hunting and you know about illegally spotlighting deer or using a spotlight on an animal, you put that big spotlight on that animal and their eyes just go and they freeze and they look like they're at a lineup or something, like at a police station. Well, we don't want our pastors to be able to look like that. And so what you want to do is you want to be able to put in that hair light to give them that three-dimensional look on your video to be able to make them pop out better. It's important to be able to have good stage lighting, because good stage lighting can help out your cameras. And good stage lighting is necessary even if you have the most expensive of broadcast or cinema cameras or ENG cameras or whatever you have. So let's look at that third feature here of what it means. And I kind of teased a little bit because I hit the advanced button too fast a while ago, but it is using a feature-rich camera. You want to make sure that the camera you're using for your live stream is a feature-rich camera that sets you up for success. Now, what I mean by this is you want to make sure that you have good low light capabilities in this camera. Now you're saying, wait a minute, Will. You just said it's important to be able to have good lighting. That's exactly right. Because we're not sure how the lighting is going to be at any time. What if somebody makes a mistake with a light cue, or what if one of your lights goes out that day and you can't get up real quick to be able to fix that light or replace it? You need to be able to have a camera that has good light capability so that you can change the settings on the camera to be able to adjust for that light or the lack of light that you may have. It's important that you also implement good camera placement. Sometimes I see people who are having struggles and they come to me and say, well, we're having struggles with our live stream and we're just having problems trying to reach people and trying to grow our engagement and things like that. And so I look at their audio first. Then I look at their lighting. And then when I'm looking at the cameras, some things that I see is I see some really weird camera angles to where when the pastor is giving the message, it's focused like right here on the bald spot. See, I've got a pretty good bald spot here going, but I don't like to show that off. And I bet your pastor doesn't like to show that off either. They may be having a bad hair day and it may not be looking too good on the top. And this is not an engaging look for a live stream, having that camera way up pointing down. So what you want to do is, and that's what's so great about PTZ cameras, is that you can move them around. You can stick them on a wall to where you've got a really good look at that camera. And when the pastor is speaking and preaching, they can even look at the camera and talk to the online audience. You can see emotion. You can see excitement. You can see sadness. You can see seriousness. You can see their heart as they're speaking. It's tough to do that when a camera's way up high or when a camera's way off to the side and looking at only a side profile. So make sure that you have good camera placement. And finally, make sure that with your cameras, you have the ability to be able to adjust them with CCU-like controls. Now, if you don't know what CCU means, it means a camera control unit. Now, a CCU is in higher quality cameras. You'll see it'll come in a rack mount, type of thing, and then it'll have a remote with this thing that looks like a hyperdrive thruster, from Star Wars or something like that. But all that is it's giving you manual controls to things. And what's so cool about so many different cameras and camera manufacturers today is that they also have software versions of these for their cameras. I'm talking about things like Iris, being able to manually adjust how much light is being led into the camera or not being led into the camera so that your subject that you're shooting is either not overexposed or underexposed. It's important to be able to have that and not be on manual. Not be on automatic for these things. I've seen this time and time again, especially if you're in a worship center that has a natural light coming in. Here in Texas, we get those days, some days that are real cloudy, and those clouds begin to move in, and those big thunderstorms, maybe coming in down the plains or something like that, or coming in from West Texas. And in the windows, it'll be all of a sudden it'll be dark, and then it'll be light, and it'll be dark, and it'll be light as the clouds move through. And what that does to your live stream during your worship services as it's coming in through the windows or coming through the stained glass, all of a sudden pastor's dark, and then pastor is overexposed. Pastor's dark, pastor is overexposed. And the camera is just going back and forth the whole time and can't lock in. Well, what you can do with a manual iris control on a camera is you can really follow that and make it natural looking. So as there gets to be more light, you can slowly back it off. As there gets to be less light, you can open up that iris. Makes it much easier on the viewer to be able to stay engaged. You also want to make sure there are things like white balance and color temperature settings. You don't want that as that light is coming through the windows and as it's going cloudy and everything like that. You don't want your automatic white balance all of a sudden going from orange looking to blue looking, orange looking to blue, orange blue, orange blue, orange blue, orange blue the whole time. And what you can do with a manual white balance setting and color temperature is you can dial that in to be able to account for when that sun comes through and when those light comes through, and you can slowly roll that if you need to, and so that it's not as abrupt or weird looking for the people who are joining you for your live stream. And you can also do some things with gain with a manual control. What you can do is you can gain it up a little bit if you need to see a person's face better. That helps with some low light issues, but it also adds some video noise. So you always want to be careful with the gain control. The next aspect of increasing engagement is this. Now you're thinking, Will, why did you pick the picture of this guy for your slide? That's because this is what you look like when you have to deal with licensing or copyright issues on Facebook, social media, other things like that. It absolutely drives you mad. So, what you want to make sure that you're doing as you are going through and as you are doing things with your live stream, you want to make sure that you've got licensing that you need for your live stream. Now, people say, well, I can't afford licenses. Well, can you afford to break the law? Simple question. Well, I would hope that you would follow along with the Bible and do things that we all try to do is try not to even allow to have a hint of evil or things in our lives. I don't want to steal from those songwriters, just like I don't want them to steal from me. That's why even when I started streaming a long time ago, I made sure that I had licenses to be able to cover us legally and to do what is honorable in following the copyright law. Now, the good thing about this is that these licenses are tailored to the size of your church. So you're not going to be paying the same price for your streaming video license for your live music and things like that that larger churches are paying. If you're a smaller church, you're going to be paying a much lower price for that. Right now, CCLI and Christian Copyright Solutions have recently merged to provide the best licensing options that are out there for streaming live music during worship services and to be able to cover aspects of that. Now, one thing that these licenses do not cover is that they do not cover pre-recorded music that's played during your live broadcast. Now, if you have a special, say like somebody comes in and they've got a music file that they say, hey, play this music file and I'm going to sing to it during the special or solo during our worship service. Or if you play worship music before and after your live stream on social media, the copyright AI is going to tag you and it may even shut you down or it'll shadow ban you and it will you'll see your viewers all of a sudden go to zero, but you're still live streaming. Well, that's when they said, well, you're breaking a copyright law. We'll let you live stream, but we're not going to let anybody see it. So it's important to be able to understand what licensing covers and what it doesn't cover. Okay? Very important on that. And you can ask me more questions about that in the breakout room here in just a little bit. Another aspect of increasing your uh, live stream and engagement is make sure you have rock solid encoding. Now, I know a lot of churches out there are not able to afford a hardware based encoder for your live stream. The good news is that there is a very solid free encoding software that's out there. I'm sure many of you are familiar with it. It's OBS Studio. You can download that, and it doesn't need a content delivery network partner like Resi or Vimeo or Boxcast or Restream or something like that. You can use OBS to go straight to Facebook or straight to um, YouTube or things like that. But something that a lot of people don't know about is that there is a plugin for OBS called Atom Multistream. It's a free OBS plugin that allows you to stream to multiple destinations simultaneously. That's an important part of increasing viewership and engagement on your live stream is making sure that you're broadcasting to different destinations and not just one destination. You want people to be able to discover you on a platform that they're comfortable with. Some people may be comfortable on social media. Some people may be more comfortable about going to your website or things like that. So make sure you're using a good encoding solution that allows you to be able to stream to multiple destinations. And there are also other paid software out there that are fairly inexpensive, like vmix and wirecast, among others, before you have to jump into the whole idea of a hardware based encoder. And so make sure you have rock solid encoding because you don't want to have issues with that during your live stream. Another aspect of having a good live stream is make sure you have a destination site for your church online other than just Facebook and YouTube. I learned this a long time ago. I was one of the first people who got to, on church circles, got to broadcast live on Facebook and broadcast live on YouTube. And after a while, I started having these licensing issues. And back then, they would give you these copyright strikes so quickly. And I would get so stressed. I was like that guy on that previous slide that we saw that was just wanting to pull all his hair out. And you can kind of tell I pulled out a lot of my hair here because of all of this stuff with these copyright issues. But something that you want to be able to make sure of is that you never know when somebody's going to think or the AI is going to think that you're breaking a copyright thing when you're streaming to social media. Now they may shut down your stream, they may block your stream, they may shadow ban your stream, but it's not just for your live music. It also could be for what the content of your worship service or what your pastor is preaching about that day. That's happened to me over the years several times because at my church we don't back away from issues. And sometimes we have found that social media doesn't like what we're talking about. And so, what we've been able to do when we get shut down is we let people know where they can find the broadcast, and then we duke it out with social media during the week, and we go from there. But it's important to be able to have another destination other than social media for your broadcasts. And having your own church online broadcast site and a content delivery network allows you to even be able to do things to try to make sure that even when you're doing things that are right with your licensing, making sure that you're not playing, movie clips or things like that during a live broadcast. Now, remember, it's different with what you can do in person versus a live broadcast, but it's important to be able to have this other type of place where you can go. And something I want you to be able to do is check out the free resources for your very own church online platform that you can find at churchonlineplatform.com. You can have your very own free, full featured, amazing church online website where you can put a broadcast and you can make sure that your broadcast gets out, but it also has full featured interaction tools and even sign up tools where people can log in and you can have their information to be able to put in your church database. But also you can look at restream.io. They have a free way to be able to start using them as your content delivery network where you can stream to multiple destinations as well. And even I believe set up and have your own web player that's embeddable. Now, I'm going to have to go back and fact check myself on this. Last time I checked, not too long ago, Restream still allowed you to do that. And so don't hate me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that Restream.io is a way for you to be able to jump in and have this different kind of flexibility. Now, here's something that people forget a lot of times with their live stream. You may have everything technically going right with what's going on here, but this is what you miss. You forget to monitor and interact with others during the live stream. Here's the thing I want you to know. You can minister to people online. You can. Now, it may not be as deep, it may not seem as natural, or you may not be able to make as much of a connection with somebody online as in person. Now, there can be an argument for you can actually go deeper online because people are more honest online than they are in person. But we're not going to debate that here. That's for another time. But you can minister to people. And so don't be afraid to be able to interact with people, monitor that. Always want to make sure that you're keeping trolls off who are trying to make fun of or trying to do things or say bad things about your church. You also want to use the church online script to make it easy to be able to copy an announcement that they may say in the church and provide a web link for people to go to find out more information or to sign up. And don't forget about the on-demand content that you provide afterwards. Go out there, monitor those comments, interact with those people, and do that to be able to help them out. All of these things will help you increase your engagement and also increase your viewership. Well, here we go to the end. This is what you've been waiting for. Does every church need to live stream its worship services? Yes, I hear that drum roll. You ready? I know some of you are shocked, but listen to me. Don't check out. Not every church needs to live stream, okay? But here's what I believe. Every church needs to be, at the very least, recording their pastor's sermon every week to be able to bring it into post, do a little bit of editing, and get it out. Whether it's reels or clips or shorts or even the full thing out on social media or out on some other type of thing for people to interact with. Because again, I said this earlier on, the number one way that people interact and want to come to your church is by the preaching first, not by the music. And so make sure that at the very least that you have cameras and you have things set up to be able to capture your pastor's sermon. And then as you're working on broadcast audio, as you're working more on other aspects of live streaming, implement that later. But make sure you're using what you have now to the best of your ability and then go from there. Practice before you commit to live streaming regularly. Here's what I mean. Check yourself with a recording. Practice your live stream. Just make a recording live like you would with a live stream, except don't live stream it. The way that you do this is you want to make sure that your broadcast audio sounds good. How does the music sound? How does the pastor sound? Do you have enough lighting for at least the pastor's sermon? Or do we need to, move some lights from over here to help with pastor? Or do we have the right cameras? Do they have good low light capabilities? Do they have the ability to be able to have manual control? But the thing that you want to make sure that you're doing is be a good steward with what you have and practice those parable of the 10 talents and then pray and wait for the Lord to bless you with that gear update. Thank you for joining me here today on my segment of PTZ Optics Worship Summit Live. I believe what we're going to do now is we're going to jump out into a Q&A session. And I may have to have the host help me here to be able to know how to jump into that. But I believe they're going to give us some instructions. I'm going to be hanging out in that Q&A section. Come join me over there. I'd love to be able to answer any questions that you have and help you have a better live stream and higher engagement.
Thank you so much, Will Chapman. You can check him out at thecottonwoodcreek.org. There's a lot of great content there, and that was a great presentation. Thank you so much. So in between every session, like he just mentioned, we have a breakout room. If you have any questions, for any of the speakers today, you can hop into that breakout room on Zoom. The Zoom link would be in the YouTube description if you're watching on YouTube, and let us know where you're watching at home. We're happy to have you here with us today. And now, in between every speaker, we're going to cut to some music so you guys can enjoy a little break, get a bite, and come back and see the next speaker. So stay tuned. We're going to have more right after this music break here.
There's a grace when the heart is under fire. Another way when the walls are closing in. And when I look at the space between where I used to be and this reckoning, I know I will never be alone. There was another in the fire, standing next to me. There was another in the waters, holding back the seas. Should I ever need a reminding of how I've been set free, there is a cross that bears my burden, where another died for me. All my debt left for debt beneath the water, yeah. I'm no longer a slave to my sin anymore. And should I fall in the space between what remains in me and this reckoning, yeah, either way I won't bow to the things of this world. And I know I will never be alone. There is another in the fire, standing next to me. There is another in the waters, holding back the seas. And should I ever need a reminding of how I've been set free, there is a grave that holds nobody, while the power lives in me. There is another in the fire. There is another in the fire. Is another in the fire. And I can see the light in the darkness, as the darkness bows to Him. I can feel the rush of the heavens and the space between where sin. I can feel the ground shake beneath us as the prison walls cave in. Nothing's in between us. Nothing's in between us. Yeah, thank you, Jesus. There is no other name than the name that is Jesus. He who was and still is and will be through it all. So come on, me in the space between all the things unseen and this reckoning. I know I will never be alone. There is another in the fire, standing next to me. There'll be another in the waters, holding back the seas. And should I ever need a reminding of how I've been to me, I'll count the joy from every battle, 'cause I know that's where and oh, we'll see how great is our God. Yeah, we worship you, Jesus. How great is our God? Sing with me, how great is our God, and oh, we'll see how great is our God. Yeah, thank you, Jesus, and I can see the light in the darkness as the darkness bows to Him. I can feel the light from the heavens as the space between within. I can feel the ground shake beneath us as the prison walls hang. Nothing's in between us. Nothing's in between. Things not in the fire.
Standing next to me, there'll be another in the water, holding back the seas. Should I ever need reminding how good you've been to me, I'll count the joy from every battle, 'cause I know that's where you'll be. I'll count the joy from every battle, 'cause I know that's where you'll be. I'll count the joy from every battle, 'cause I know that's where you'll be. I'll count the joy from every battle,
Thank you,
'cause I
Jesus.
know that's where you'll
There's
be.
joy, there's joy.
I'll count the joy from every battle, 'cause I know that's where you'll be. I'll count the joy from every battle, 'cause I know that's where you'll be.
Thanks for sticking around. This is the Worship Summit Live, Day 2 from PTZOptics. My name is John Roberts. Thank you for joining us again and for being here. Next up, we have Tom Sinclair from Eastern Shore Broadcasting. We're so happy to bring Tom in today. How you guys doing?
Having a great day. Thank you. How about you guys?
Yeah, we're doing great. It's a beautiful day out here. We're ready for the weekend, and we're ready for some worshiping. So take it away, Tom. I'll give you the floor.
Great. Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be invited again to the Worship Summit live. And live is the key thing here. It's live doesn't allow you to recover from your mistakes as gracefully as being able to cover them up in post. So it's always a special thing to be live.
Tom, could you turn on your video for us there? We'll put you on the
I'm sorry.
Zoom interface
Yeah, there
here.
we go.
Thank you so much, Tom. Appreciate
There
it.
we go. So what I wanted to share with folks today was a little bit about the role that I've played in live streaming since I started live streaming in 2008. And since the very beginning, it really came to me that this is a God-ordained mechanism. The whole thing, the whole coming together of the live stream thing. Back in 2008, we didn't even know what to call it. You know, was it webcasting? Was it video casting? Was it video blogging? I mean, there were lots of names being thrown around. But I remember the very first live stream I did of a soccer match in Orange Beach, Alabama. And we got emails after that from folks all over the country saying, you know, it was so nice. We couldn't be there and we wanted to watch our child play soccer, but we couldn't, but you were able to bring it to us. And I realized whatever this was, didn't know what it was yet, but I knew it was the next big thing. And so it's been a joy to be with live streaming through that time from then to now. One of the first things I did or tried to do was to set my church up with live streaming. And there was a little resistance at the very beginning. It's like, oh, well, you know, this is a private service and you know the arguments on that. But eventually everybody came around and, you know, by the time COVID hit in 2020, we'd been live streaming for 4 years. And so it wasn't something we had to gear up to do. We were already doing it. And one of the things that I realized pretty quickly on is that a lot of times people don't like to visit when they move into a new town, or when they're dissatisfied for some reason with their old church. They really are resistant to visiting other churches because it's strange. They're new people. It's it might be a different style of worship. They don't know the pastor. There are lots of things, lots of dynamics going on there. But live streaming allows people to have a taste of what's going on in a church without having to actually be there. And so they can get to know what the pastor looks like, so he won't be, or she won't be, a stranger. They get to know where the congregation is, how they sit, how they worship, what some of the songs are that are played in worship. And it really can be a great tool for inviting that outsider in without them really having to come in. Our pastor has a special message at the beginning of every service where he welcomes those people that are watching online. Now, we have a real small church, maybe 50 people. And so we don't have tons of people watching online, but there are probably more churches like ours in the country than there are churches with a population of 1,000. There are more smaller churches. Doesn't mean they're serving more people, but they're more churches. And these churches appeal to a certain type of individual that wants to be able to know everybody, that wants to feel a part of the family. And when the family gets too big, you can't know everybody in the family. Have you ever gone to a family reunion where there were 100 people there, third and fourth cousins, and you didn't know any of them, and it didn't feel like a family reunion? Where there's some people that want to feel like family when they go to church. And that's why the small church appeals to them. And that's why I think it's really more important that a small church live stream than not. Now, there can be some debate about whether you live stream the entire service or whether you just record it and post it online. But there's something about being live. In our tradition, we're part of the Anglican Communion, and so we celebrate the Eucharist, Holy Communion, every Sunday. And when we do, we invite people at home to share that with us. And that's something that's happening live. And so there's an element to live that is, can't be duplicated, I think, by something in the recording. I am a proponent of vmix. vmix 28, whoops, there we go, is the latest, greatest version. It's software that allows you to do live streaming on a Windows computer using cameras and microphones and the such. vmix allows you to pretty easily use things like the various PTZOptics producer kits. That's the 4K kit. This is the HD high definition kit called the SE kit, is what I would refer to it as, the SE kit. And those will allow vmix to plug right in. The cameras plug into your local area network, the controller plugs into your local area network, and the vmix PC plugs into your local area network. So all those cameras become sources in vmix. For example, this camera that we're on right now is a PTZOptics Move 4K. It's the 12X version, which is perfect for a studio because I'm only, maybe 5 feet from the camera. But if I'm having a bad day and I'm much shorter or much taller, or if I'm off to the side, I don't have to get out of my chair. I can just adjust the camera that way. The camera's coming into this production via NDI, which means that I only have to hook one cable to the camera. It's an Ethernet cable that has power on it. And so it supplies power to the camera. It allows me to control the camera. And through NDI, it sends the video back to the vmix PC. When NDI was first introduced into the world back in 2016, Dr. Andrew Cross with then NewTek, which is now VizRT, was the creator of this. And unbeknownst to him, the creator of vmix had been working simultaneously on the same type product, a way to get video over Ethernet. And they had some meetings together. And in fact, I remember at NAB out in Las Vegas in 2016, seeing Dr. Cross and Martin Sinclair, very distant relation to me. meeting in the shadows talking about NDI. And vmix was the very first either hardware or software product to adopt NDI. So vmix has been in since the very beginning with NDI and has really been able to craft it in a way that makes it work consistently and reliably in almost every situation. What I do here is, you can see my workshop behind me. We design and build PCs that are used by vmix. We're a vmix reseller. And so we have an intimate knowledge of vmix and an intimate knowledge of the PCs, and kind of meld those together with very frequently PTZOptics products and send them out to our clients in the world. I guess our first church client, well, our first church client was my church, but since then there've probably been hundreds. I haven't ever counted. During COVID, I think one day during COVID, our phone rang 81 times of people trying to find a way to get their churches online. If you haven't done online, well, there are probably not many of you that haven't done online. But if you haven't done online, you need to. It's easy to do it. You can start small with gear that you may have on hand, or you can write a check for a system that's tailored to your needs. We're happy to help you on either end of that. I don't have a time clock here. I don't want to overstay my welcome. Is there somebody that can give me an idea how much time I have left? I don't want to run over somebody else.
No,
okay,
you're doing
that's
well
all right.
on time. Can you hear me there?
Okay.
Yeah,
Good,
you're
good.
doing well. You got about like 5-10 more minutes if you need to. But if not, we
Okay.
can always transition over and chat with some music and get to our next speaker if you are all out of time there, Tom.
Well, one more point I'd like to make. Having worked with PTZOptics for, I guess, going on probably 10 years now, since very, very, very early on, and watching PTZOptics grow in its camera production. And one of the things that I love is they have resisted the urge to come out with a brand new camera every 6 months and keep up with the Joneses. Instead, they have taken a camera and they have constantly refined it. I guess you would say that the current version of cameras, the SC line and the 4K line, are maybe their fourth generation, depending on how you would want to count it. But the fourth generation is by far and away the best value for a camera I've ever seen. These are the cameras that we dreamed of 10 years ago, where we've got HD. I mean, back then it was like, do we decide between standard definition and high definition? Well, now it's no question. But we've got an HD camera that does NDI for $1,000 plus or minus. It's amazing. We've got a 4K camera that does NDI for not a whole lot more than that. It really is amazing, the offering that we have today. If I can assist anybody, even if just chatting, I'm sure some contact information will be available for me somewhere. Let's see, I've got, you can contact me through our website at easternshorebroadcasting.com, and we can talk and see. I don't take a lot of clients. I'm not a big, large reseller where I'm throwing out boxes right and left. My clients are people that I know by name, and if that kind of relationship appeals to you, then give me a holler, and we'll see if we can help you get on to where you want to be. Yep, that's it. If there are any questions, give me a shout.
Thank you so much, Tom. That was great. We appreciate your time and for coming on. There's a breakout room that we'd love to have you join on Zoom there. If you have any questions for Tom, join into that breakout room. You can ask him anything or get his contact information there as well. Thank you, Eastern Shore Broadcasting. We appreciate you guys for coming on and talking about it and giving us such beautiful compliments about the Move SE and the Move 4K. Thank you so much for that. We really do pride ourselves and releasing a product and not letting it go off on its own, but really sticking to it and spending time and making sure that it gets updates and gets improvement after improvement after improvement. So we really care about that. We are constantly releasing new beta features, and we never charge for any of these additional new features. In fact, we have a great beta testing program. If you go to PTZOptics.com/beta testing, you'll be able to join our beta program. So you'll be able to get all the new features for the Move 4K and the Move SE. So definitely recommend looking into that if you're interested. We also have up next Zac Morgan from Market with Motive. If you are interested in our giveaway, we are giving away a Super Joy, which I'll show next time I'm on screen here so you guys can take a look at what that is. It's our highest and the best controller that we offer for our PTZ cameras. So if you're interested in a Super Joy and winning one today, scan that QR code or check the description in the link in the description there. Alrighty, so next up, like I said, we have Zac Morgan, and we're going to go over to a little bit of music before we get to Zac. So stay tuned, and Zac will be up right after this music break. Thank you.
I was buried beneath my shame. Who could carry that kind of a weight? It was my tomb till I met you. I was breathing but not alive. All my failures I tried to hide. It was my tomb till I met you. You called my name, and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness, into your glorious day. You called my name, and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness, into your glorious day. Now your mercy has saved my soul. Now your freedom is all that I know. The old made new. Jesus, when I met you, you called my name, and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness, into your glorious day. You called my name, and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness, into your glorious day. I needed rescue, my sin was heavy, but chains break at the weight of your glory. I needed shelter, I was an orphan, now you call me a citizen of heaven. When I was broken, you were my healing, now your love is the air that I'm breathing. I have a future, my eyes are open, 'cause when you called my name, sure, I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness, into your glorious day. I searched the world, but he couldn't feel me.
Hello, everyone. Howdy from Texas. I'm really glad to be here at Worship Summer Live 2025. And before we begin, please know I am not a tech expert by any stretch of the imagination, but I do work with churches all across the country every single day. And there's one thing, possibly the most important thing, that I see some teams do really, really well, and I see other teams kind of struggle with. And that is actually building a team, but not just any team, a healthy team, a growing team, a team that shows up early and stays late because they believe in the eternal impact that their service is contributing to the people getting to encounter the God of the universe. But before we get to the team, we have to first look inward and evaluate ourselves. There's a really icky little monster that's crawling around churches today, and it's called the performance monster. And before we go any further, I want to do a quick evaluation internally to see if you or me or anyone who's watching this has been bitten by this performance monster. So let me ask you a couple questions, okay? Is your value tied to your identity? That's a deep one. That's kind of a heavy hitter to go off first, I know. If something goes wrong on a Sunday morning or a Wednesday night or whatever it is, does it ruin your day? Do you find yourself dwelling on it like a lot? Do you fear failure more than you value growth? Are you sticking to what is safe even if it's a little stale? Do you compete more than you collaborate? That's a huge one. Do you feel guilty when you finally get to unplug? Are you more anxious about the transitions in service than you are the power of a God story? These questions are something to chew on. They're not something to like make you feel bad or anything. They're just like a good self-assessment. Where am I with these? Because if our output is determined by our performance, we may grow really fast, but we will absolutely break under pressure 10 times out of 10. But what if we reset our filter and let our output come from what Jesus has performed? That would change everything. Everything. If we reset our filter and let our output come from what Jesus has performed, it will change everything. It may even change your home life. I don't know what you're going home with. And we have to have that as a foundation in place before we build and develop our team, because if we build a performance-driven team, we'll lead them to have the same fears, the same insecurities, the same anxiety that we're taking home every day ourselves. So before we even get into this, if you look at those questions, if there's something that I'm saying right now that is resonating with you, can I just pray for you real quick? God, I pray for the people that are resonating with these questions, who are evaluating these in real time and going, oh my gosh, I may have been bitten by the performance monster. God, would you be with them, and would you bring them peace? And God, would you bring them next steps, encourage them that they are exactly where they need to be. But God, would you give them clear next steps to step into what we're about to talk about, which is presence culture. Now, our team. And I'm just going to look at what Jesus did, because he really gave a perfect example for how to grow your team. And if you're one of those people that are like, I don't want to over-spiritualize what we do. Can I help you for a second? Be at fault for over-spiritualizing everything, okay? We're not trying to lead people to being comfortable. We're leading people to Jesus, okay? It's okay to over-spiritualize everything. If you're on, the spectrum of I don't spiritualize anything and I over-spiritualize, be at fault for being on this side of the spectrum, okay? Jesus didn't build a team to perform. He built a team to transform. Hello. Can I get an amen? Amen. Okay. I'm waiting for it. In Matthew 4, Jesus calls Peter and Andrew fishermen, not professionals, fishermen. Jesus didn't call those who are qualified to serve. We have heard this 1,000 times. He called people who were willing to say yes, to follow. Here I am. What do you have for me? Send me. And then he discipled them. Please don't be a gig machine, okay? Don't let your people come in, do the thing, get feedback, and then leave. Disciple them. And if you're like, okay, I know what discipleship is, but I don't really know like maybe the exact term of discipleship. Can I help you with this? It's really simple. Discipleship is just inviting someone to do the thing you're doing. It is very much life on life. Hey, I'm taking my son to football practice. You want to come with me? Hey, I'm reconfiguring our lights in the auditorium. Come with me and help out for a few hours. Hey, we just got a new camera and I'm going to test it. Do you want to learn about this with me? It's that simple. Teach them through proximity. Look beyond their skill level and just start inviting people into the little things with you. Truly at its core, that is discipleship. 5 years ago, my family's life blew up. It was devastating. It was the darkest thing we've ever gone through as a family. And for months, I was alone in true darkness. It was by far the craziest. Anyway, I started going to a new church that is still our home church today. And like almost immediately, this guy named Sean invited me to help him with a video shoot. Now, I've been doing video for like 20 years, but I was never truly good at it. I'll be real with you. I kind of learned, my own way before, Google and YouTube really showed me everything I knew. But Sean showed me literally everything he knows. And this dude's good at video. He showed me how he does composure, how he does lighting, audio, mixing, like all of it. And I got so good at it just by serving with Sean, just by learning what Sean was teaching me, that we ended up launching a full-time business in 2022 that has been our full-time job now for 3 years. Puts bread on our table. It pays for this roof over our head, all because Sean decided to disciple me. And because Sean decided to disciple me, God has now used our business to help churches, authors, speakers, personal brands all over the country. It's actually kind of bananas. Just invite them. It's pretty simple. Jesus gave a mission, not a role. He gave a mission, not a role. John 16, Jesus says, I chose you and appointed you so that you might go and bear fruit that will last a long time. The team that you're building isn't just running a service on Sunday mornings. They are actively contributing to the kingdom of God. Are you putting that mission in front of them? Are you putting that target in front of them? Is that the filter that your team is truly using? Performance culture wants to give your team a task. Presence culture wants to give your team a reason. And when your volunteers, your servant leaders, your dream team, whatever you call them, only know what to do, but not why they're doing it, you better believe that burnout and bitterness will be knocking at the door soon, okay? Set the tone and consistently remind your team of the mission. And that mission is that everything they do, everything they're doing, every little thing they're doing is contributing to the kingdom of God. Every lyric that goes on that projector screen. Every mic that is mixed and tested, every live stream switch, every song to sermon transition is an opportunity for someone to meet Jesus. Are you putting that mission in front of them? Jesus multiplied by letting go, not holding on. My wife says this all the time. If you are gripping onto something so tightly, God can't put anything in your hands. In Luke 9, Jesus gives his friends power and authority. Woo! And then he sends them out. People who are empowered will build empowered teams. Look at you first. Are you empowered? Are you empowered by this mission? Or are you empowered by tasks? There's a big difference. Performance culture centralizes control. It gives you kind of false job security if you're the only one who knows how to do what you do. But presence culture multiplies by letting go. That's pretty wild. And if you're the only one who knows how to run the board, you're not building a team. You're actually building a pretty hardcore bottleneck, okay? There's an old leadership development formula that I have been using for years with my teams. I'm not sure if it was inspired by how Jesus discipled, but it definitely aligns, and it goes like this. The first step is, I do, you watch, we talk after. The next step is, I do, you help me, we talk after. The third step is, you do it, I'm going to help you, and then we're going to talk after. And then the fourth step is, you do, I stand back here and watch you do it, and then we talk after. And then the final step is, you do, someone else watches. That's a discipleship model if I've ever seen one, okay? But that is how we equip and empower the teams that are coming to us and trying to find this community within our church and somewhere to plug in and somewhere to use their gifts to serve God. That's how. This formula has never not worked for me, truly. And it's so important to equip others. It's important to rotate roles. Let new team members fail a little bit. Failure is such a good teacher. It'll make them better. It'll give them grit. It'll give them some skin in the game, okay? I love this story. When Howard Schultz was the CEO of Starbucks, he received a letter from a young barista in the corporation named Darnell. And the letter wasn't a complaint. I'm sure they get a lot of them. It was a thank you note. And Darnell in this letter shared that he grew up in one of the toughest neighborhoods in Washington, D.C., and his odds of graduating high school were really low. College was something that for him kind of seemed impossible. But Starbucks had this program that helped its part-time employees go to college tuition-free through a partnership with Arizona State University. So Darnell enrolled in this program, but what changed his life wasn't the program. It wasn't college. It was the manager at his store. This manager, she didn't just give him hours and help him get through school. She gave him belief. She trained him. But more importantly, she pulled him aside one day and she said, Darnell, you have something in you. You've got what it takes to lead. And she helped him with his schedule, the tangibles, the minutia, covered for him when he had exams, challenged him when he was late, which I love that she challenged him. She made him better, and she celebrated every little milestone with him. And Darnell didn't just get a paycheck. No, he got discipled. And eventually Darnell, he did graduate. And he was promoted to store manager, and then district manager. And now he does leadership training for hundreds of store managers across the region. All because one person looked beyond his current skill level. They invited him in, and they equipped him to carry the mission. Jesus gave his friends power and authority. He equipped them, he gave them a mission, and then he empowered them. He sent them out. So please make sure your foundation is firm. You got to start right here. And then invite someone into the little things with you. Show them how to do the things that you may not think are interesting and you're not sure if they'll think it's interesting. It's not about that. It's about showing them that everything is important. Don't just build a team that can successfully run a service. That's easy. Build a team that can carry the mission. Thank y'all.
Let's sing. This is a new one for today. Anything is possible. There is no shadow that has ever overcome your light. There is no rival that could ever stand against your mind. You've always been with us. Every battle you've already won. We've already won. And there is no weapon that has ever left a mark on you. There is no army with the power to conquer truth. You've always been with us. Every battle you've already won. You've already won. Show me one thing you can't do. Show me a mountain you can't move. He's the God of the breakthrough. Anything is possible. Show me one thing that's too hard. Show me water you can't part. He's the God of the breakthrough. And anything is possible. It's possible. And there is a kingdom that's advancing at the speed of light. And in this kingdom, every dead thing is bound to rise. Oh God, our Redeemer, He is faithful to revive. Oh, He will revive. Yeah. Show me one thing He can't do. Show me a mountain He can't move. He's the God of the breakthrough. And anything is possible. Show me one thing that's too hard. Show me waters you can't part. He's the God of the breakthrough. And anything is possible. It's possible. And all of my fear I will turn into praise. Shake off despair as I sing out your name. A victory dance I will dance out in faith. I will crush disappointment and break every chain. Oh, all of my fear I will turn into praise. Shake off despair as I sing out your name. A victory dance I will dance out in faith. I will crush disappointment and break every chain. Oh, all of my fear I will turn into praise. Shake off despair as I sing out your name. A victory dance I will dance out in faith. I will crush disappointment.
welcome back to the Stream Geeks Summit. Thank you for joining us Thank you for joining us today. I need a microphone if you guys want to hear me. Thank you for joining us today. That was Zac Morgan. Thank you, Zac, for sending us that awesome video to break everything down. If you guys aren't aware, we are doing a giveaway today of the beautiful Superjoy. Now my microphone's too close. The beautiful Superjoy here. This is our amazing controller for the PTZOptics cameras. If you're interested in winning one of the Superjoys today, you can enter it by scanning that QR code or looking at the link in the description. The Superjoy is a great device. Not only is PoE, but you can use it to power DC. You can control over 255 presets, over 10 different individual cameras, all here on the Superjoy. It's made out of really hard, durable metal. We've seen people drop this. I've personally seen people drop this and it hit the floor and they bring it right back up, plug it back in, and this puppy's still working. So you have an HDMI output available on the back here as well. So you can output your video feed, the camera that you're currently controlling. You can output that video feed directly to a TV or a monitor, which we do all the time here locally. You also have custom buttons and toggles for focus. And you can adjust focus and zoom with these small individual toggles here as well. You also have some color correction knobs here on the side where you can adjust things like the zoom speed or the pan speed. You can even adjust the iris gain and the shutter gain and the red gain and blue gain. So you can even do some color correcting on the Superjoy locally. The Superjoy also can connect with a software controller. If you aren't aware, we have something called Hive. Hive Studio is our latest camera control platform. It also has NDI outputs and recording locally to your computer, and it allows you to bring in multiple different cameras. And that's not even limited to just our cameras. You can actually bring in over 400 different make and models into Hive Studio. You can learn more about Hive at ptzoptics.com/hive. And if you want to learn a little bit, you can stay right here as we're about to show you a cool video on how you can use Hive in a house of worship. So take a look at this video and see if Hive is right for you.
I'm Brad Christian. I'm with Freedom House Church in Charlotte, North Carolina. We recently had the opportunity to evaluate and get our hands on the PTZOptics Hive system. Something unique about Freedom House is that we have live teaching at all of our campuses. So not just here at our broadcast campus, but live teaching in South End at Lake Norman at every single campus. One person cannot support 3 campuses usually. But the interesting thing that the PTZOptics Hive system was able to do is we were able to really open up the doors of possibility in terms of one campus here centrally, or a remote person being able to log in and easily support the camera at South End, the camera at our Lake Norman campus, being able to record, move the camera around, adjust camera settings, track the communicator, all can be done remotely. Many production directors can relate to on a Sunday morning the phone calls you get needing to support campuses with technology that's not firing properly or problems that you're having. So your time is very precious on a Sunday morning. The beauty of the Hive system is being able to open up a web browser no matter where you're at. And that's very important, especially when integrating volunteers. It's so easy to operate the cameras. Everything is laid out super simple. There's not complicated menus to navigate. The video is very clear. The recording settings are clear. The camera control settings are super simple, very intuitive, and really excellent way of being able to bring volunteers along with you on the journey. I was really surprised at the ease of setup, from the way the software installed to the way the cameras interfaced with the Hive software. The beauty of the PTZOptics system is it auto detects most settings. Everything is very native, talking to each other. Really makes for a super simple setup. Everything was very intuitive, running over a simple Ethernet cable that powered both the camera and sent the video down the line. As soon as I got into the control system, I was shocked at the camera control opportunities that it gave, the way that it has native ways to activate the auto tracking features of the PTZOptics cameras, which really opens up the door to add energy, a better look, and a more rounded video experience. And what I can see with the Hive can really help support and be that bridge builder between being able to capture video in multiple places, or if you just have a limited options when it comes to volunteers, you are really eliminating a lot of things that can hold you back from success when you integrate something like the Hive system because of the doors of opportunity that it can open.
I searched the world, but it couldn't fill me. Man's empty praise, treasures that fade are never enough. If you came along, you put me back together. And every desire is now satisfied here in your love. Oh, there's nothing better than
Alrighty, welcome back. We have one final speaker for you guys today at the Worship Summit. And don't leave, because stick around. We have a cool giveaway of the Super Joy, as I was mentioning right before that video. I hope you guys liked it, and check out Hive Studio at ptzoptics.com/hive. If you got a couple minutes to win that Super Joy, you have about a half hour until we give away that Super Joy. But up next, we have Nick Marzock from Full Compass. So let's take it over to Nick and see what else we can learn today.
Hey, everybody watching. Thank you so much, Paul and PTZOptics, for hosting this summit and bringing me to speak. Thank you, everybody, for watching and still paying attention after a long summit. I hope I can keep that attention, so thank you so much. My name's Nick Marzock. I am with Full Compass Systems, where I do content creation. So I do interviews, gear reviews, various video content for Full Compass's YouTube channel and social media. I cover trade shows like InfoComm that's happening next week in Orlando, that I'll be interviewing PTZOptics about all the new things they have that is exciting. And so you can check out those videos online. My other job, I'm a singer-songwriter / producer, composer. So I did the singer-songwriter thing, opening for bands and recording, and I have my own solo career that way, but I also write for TV and film. So American Dad, I work a lot with Jennifer Love Hewitt for her show 911, as well as other projects she does, and various, title sequences for Hulu or AMC, whatever, comes up. So I have some voice acting and on-camera work. That's not really why I'm here. Why I'm here is I was a former worship leader for a non-denominational, what became a mega church, for 4 years in a church outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And in that time, the church experienced just massive growth. It went from several hundred to several thousand, maybe 5,000 or so. It started off as a pop-up church in a high school gymnasium every Sunday, and then just, expanded from there. So I'll talk about that in this presentation. But quickly, I want to talk about Full Compass Systems. The reason that I'm here, I've been with Full Compass for about a year and a half, and I absolutely love this company, their values, their core mission, and how that all works together. If you're not familiar with Full Compass, we are a retailer for pro gear. So everything from pro audio, pro lighting, DJ equipment, staging, musical instruments, anything that you can think of that might go into a production, we sell. So top brands, state-of-the-art technology, emerging technologies, everything that you would hope for in a retailer. But more important than that, this is a family-owned and family-run business, and it has been since Jonathan and Susan Lipp, the founders, started the company nearly 50 years ago as a professional recording studio initially. You hear that a lot, right? We're a family business, but they really treat it like it's a corner store on Main Street. The relationships with customers are paramount. They have a full-time staff of sales experts that want to come alongside customers and figure out, what they need, particularly on the front end. So before you commit to something, making sure that it fits, seeing what your specific needs are and helping to facilitate them. This causes these relationships to last forever. Our customers love buying from us and love working with our sales team because of that experience. So there's nothing that's too large or too small. Everything from a hotel chain or a house of worship that is going to redo their sound system, all the way to a guitarist that needs a little cable that, doesn't have noise, or whatever the order is. We handle all of it. So I bring up Full Compass because we are here. I am here as a guest of PTZOptics, which I really appreciate the invitation from them to speak today. We are a carrier of their great products, cameras, software. I love the company, and we're both here to create solutions from the tech standpoint of worship. So now I want to use my history and my experience in worship leading and combine that with my current role at Full Compass to talk about the gear side of worship, the behemoth that often gets overlooked or unaddressed. So let's talk about gear, whether that means your sound system, your audio, right? The mixer, stage mics, a pastor's headset mic, PA or line array setup, the cabling, or video equipment, the cameras or PTZ cameras, software if you're using something like Hive or live streaming software, video switchers, projectors, the lighting rigs, right? And the controllers for lighting, stage trusses, TV monitors, all of this stuff plays a role in supplementing and lifting the message and the worship that you are conducting week in and week out. But there is a lot of it, right? It could be absolutely overwhelming. And yeah, see that guy. I totally appreciate that, understand that. Particularly in the cases of either up and coming churches that are just growing and maybe having problems with that upscaling like I experienced, or even established churches that have done a certain thing a certain way for a long time. We all know those churches too. In those cases, people have jobs, right? The preacher's got to preach, and you're counting on a worship leader maybe, or a worship team or a team of volunteers to make this stuff happen, who are trained on the current system that you currently have, and they all might have jobs outside of the church. You could see where this breakdown happens. It can be really expensive. These systems are, major investments, frequently require training, and that's just not a gamble that you as an institution, as a house of worship, want to make with the valuable money that you are receiving from people's offerings. So what happens? You put it off for next quarter, and then it's next year. And before you know it, 5 years down the line, you're still bringing this up in meetings like, hey, we should, upgrade this system or whatever. And it just never happens. I've also seen the other side of it, which, mostly in churches that are just growing so fast and taking in so much money. And they think they need to spend that money on system overhauls, with equipment that either sits in the room off stage, a storage room, because nobody knows how to work or implement it, or is just frankly wasted because you got this state-of-the-art moving head stage light, but you don't have the DMX rig or a lighting tech to actually run it. So you went all out with the light, but you can't really utilize it for what it's for. That money isn't reaching people, right? That it's wasted money. It's not reaching people. It's not in your community, maybe feeding people in your community. It's not paying an AV tech possibly to help figure out how to best run that side of things. So, sorry, I feel like I'm not taking away the anxiety. This is an anxious topic, and I'm so far just adding to the anxiety. So let's demystify this. Everything comes down, in my opinion, to an upside down pyramid structure, right? With the bottom being the core purpose of what you are ultimately trying to accomplish. Given that this is a worship seminar, I think it's safe that I can assume that everyone, no matter your denomination or even your religion, your core purpose, what's on the bottom of that triangle, is most likely something like reach people with our message or reach people with the message. You're attending the seminar, so I think we all share that goal. So the next level above that is we need to define our high-level needs, the high-level needs that are going to, help to facilitate the bottom of that triangle. So we need to establish an online presence so people can connect with us. That's a high-level need. People need to hear us in the auditorium. That's a simpler but definitely a high-level need. If you're speaking, people need to be able to hear us. We need to display the text so people can follow along with the message or the lyrics during worship. We need to broadcast outside of these walls. This is a little more advanced, but whether it's live or pre-recorded, having some kind of broadcast that people can hear our message and worship with us from home. If they have to miss a weekend, or that can even help bring in new followers, whatever it is, those are the high level needs of your house of worship. Then that top layer, this represents the tech or the AV equipment that is going to work to solve these high level needs. I'm so sorry that this is incredibly elementary. I know I don't want to offend anyone's intelligence. I just see so many churches or houses of worship that miss this when it comes to investing in technology. That core value, reaching people with your message, that has to be paramount. That has to be the focus. Then you need to answer these needs honestly in order to get that message out. And then you need the equipment in order to facilitate those needs. This layer needs to serve this layer, which needs to point to this layer. Out of the examples I was talking about earlier, You might be with the church that's hesitant, right? You might be that example that of the house of worship that doesn't want to invest in something. Your PA system is from 1982. The mics are cutting out. It's crackly. Sometimes the signal drops. People in the back can't hear. The people in the back aren't being served. They're not hearing the message. People outside of your church aren't hearing the message. It's not getting out. People who come to visit, they might be turned off by the sound quality. So that's the message just isn't getting out. Or you're the second example of a church that gets so caught up in that top layer. We have to have the latest and greatest and shiniest just for the sake of having the latest and greatest and shiniest, forgetting the purpose of that gear, right? That's also not, the message isn't getting out because people are going to notice that. And the congregants who are trusting you with their offering money, that is not what they are asking you to do with it. So I know this is heavy. I'm going to get a little bit heavier, but it's real talk. We are here to Worship Summit, so we have to speak honestly about these things. There are challenges facing houses of worship. We are all aware of tough statistics, right? Gallup polling shows that church attendance is down in almost every major religion. 2 decades ago, about 42% of U.S. adults on average attended religious services weekly, and now that number is about 30%. Catholic and Orthodox, they've experienced the largest drops of 12 and 9% respectively, Orthodox affiliations. 35% of 18 to 29-year-olds, right? This is the future. They say they have no religious affiliation. People are leaving. The Malfers Group lists the top 15 polling responses that committed churchgoers give for no longer attending services. And among those, here are some of the responses. See if any of these sound familiar. I can get better preaching from a podcast or online content. I can worship/study the Bible on my own. Gallup estimates 44% of people prefer to worship on their own. I don't feel like going to church makes a difference in my life. I feel like church is boring. Similarly, I don't feel like there's a place for my child or teenager. They might be bored, or there's just no structure, there's no program for them to fit in. The data can be tough to swallow, but here are a few more data points that color this slightly differently. While those of the boomer generation have seen reduced or at least stagnant church attendance, millennial attendance grew from 21% in 2019 to 38% in 2022. Non-denominational churches are actually experiencing growth, with over 6 million more people attending those churches than in 2010. And while in-person services are back in full swing after the COVID took a big hit to that, still 16% of regular churchgoers attend remotely. So we're seeing two sides. There's some positive, some negative. What can we learn from this? What can we glean from this information? Data is always in the eye of the beholder. I might have a different interpretation than you have hearing those two sides of this. So let's consider the opportunities facing houses of worship that the data might be talking to us about. Before I go into this, I understand the hesitation for a lot of established churches, to upgrade and modernize. But what we are all seeing is that modernizing your house of worship puts you in a much better position to succeed, to get to this primary objective at the core of your mission. The churches that are experiencing growth, so when they were polled, they are growing, were about 50% more likely to only offer modern or contemporary worship, as opposed to the ones that weren't experiencing growth or on decline. Think back to the reasons that people are leaving church real quick, okay? I don't think church makes a difference in my life. I find it boring. There's no place for my child or teenager. I can get the same thing from a podcast. How does the church or house of worship fit into my modern life? Not the message, right? Not the community, not the core of it, but like what the congregant is experiencing at a weekend service. It's just so far removed from everything else in my modern life. And all that to say, in no way am I suggesting that church needs to sell out, or be this exclusively entertainment venue just to attract people's attention. That's not the point. The bottom is the point, right? This goal, reaching people. But in order to get to that point, you need to engage people where they are. There are a lot of factors that can contribute to that, right? The message, the culture of the house of worship or the church, the musicians during worship. There are so many things. I'm just talking about from an AV standpoint right now, purely from the experience of a congregant when they show up for worship. You can have an incredibly engaging message, but if people can't hear you in the back, that tree's going to fall in the woods and nobody's around to hear it. It's not going to make a sound, right? And again, I want to reiterate, I'm not suggesting that a church becomes something that it isn't. I don't want you to think you have to change your DNA. And like, I don't think moving LED lights would necessarily fit in a Catholic mass. That's not what I'm saying. We just always need to keep that bottom layer in mind and then honestly assess that middle layer. Are we solving these needs? Are we reaching people? Are we doing everything we can to make sure that there's just no interruption between those two layers? Maybe consider adapting to hybrid models. If people are already preferring to attend online church, meet them there. We saw earlier that 44% of people prefer to worship on their own, but only 16% regularly attend online church. So why not give them that opportunity to do that more, to worship where they are comfortable? Adapting to meet people where they are doesn't have to redefine your church's DNA or identity. It just means being better at reaching people. I'm one of those people. I regularly attend Andy Stanley's church online. I live in Los Angeles. It's in Atlanta. I had never been to Atlanta when I started watching him because a friend sent me his services. And then I started joining a satellite church that he has in Pittsburgh. And by the way, a side note about that real quickly. If you want to get your message out, if that is the ultimate goal, having online content and videoing your services and live streaming, that's also a great way to reach people. Friends can share it with friends. I'll share things with my friends every now and then. It's the ultimate way to spread the message in this new age. So this also helps, the live streaming thing, this also helps to get your message, reach people in audiences that aren't necessarily accessible through the normal in-person, visits. Broadcasting to senior centers, for instance, right? People aren't very mobile in those senior centers, or they can invite their friends to come and sit in the center and watch church with them. So it's a really wonderful way to get your message to places that might not come. Members who have to move out of state but want to remain connected to the church community, right? Live streaming or broadcasting, posting your messages after is a great way to do that. It opens up so many doors. So given all of that, let's now address this top layer. This is the behemoth, the equipment that makes it all possible. Here's a little secret, right? It's really important. I promise it's important. You might not have a lot of visual elements or stage lighting or projectors, but something that every house of worship has in common is a sound system that includes at least a microphone and some speakers. Unless your church is being held at that Epidaurus Theater in Greece that has no sound system, you probably have a sound system, okay? So let's take a step back. Why does a preacher deliver a message? And why are the congregants facing the preacher? Even if you aren't interested in a super modern production, you're still attempting to establish a connection. You're still trying to engage people so that they hear the words that you are saying to them. The sound of your system can directly affect the impact of that connection that you are trying to establish. There's this really great author, and he's a frequent TED speaker. His name is Julian Treasure. He breaks down the ways that sound can impact people because he's an expert on sound and communication. So there are 4 ways. The first one is physiologically, okay? Harsh sound, excessively loud sound, or unbalanced sound can bring about emotions of anxiousness and discomfort, literally creating a physical response, even subconsciously, while high quality and balanced audio can be soothing. The second one is psychologically. So audio that cuts out or has a lot of noise or hum, feedback, or is too harsh, that can be distracting. People start paying attention to little minuscule imperfections rather than what you as the speaker or the worship leader are trying to say or sing about, or even worse, people just start daydreaming and tuning out. You're inviting people to trail off and not hear the message that you are delivering. The third way, cognitively, when audio is clear and people are not distracted, that ensures that your message is clearly understood and enables people to cognitively engage and think about what you're saying and go on that journey with you, whether that's through speech or through worship. And finally, behaviorally, this seems a little bit redundant, but bad sound can just be disengaging or lead to frustration. People start fidgeting. Good quality audio promotes much better sociability and interaction with either the message or the music. Even in the case of a simple production, right? A preacher preaches, a microphone picks it up, and that message gets amplified over speakers, just super bare bones. The quality of the audio matters if your goal is to reach people with that message, right? You can't reach a congregation that is having trouble hearing you and can't connect because of any one of those four factors. We're humans, right? I've probably lost some of you along the way, not because of sound, but just, I don't know, I'm just rambling so much. So we need to eliminate those distractions. We need to maximize the ability for people to connect and engage with us. Speaking with the more modernized churches or, houses of worship that are phasing into that, this gets more complex. Is the music too distracting for people to really worship because it's just too loud, or you have, undersized PA system and you don't have a sub, so it just sounds really tinny or MIDI. You're trying to blast it for people in the back to hear. There's just not good low end. Granted, you'll always have the troopers, right, that will just put their hands up and worship to white noise or whatever it is. They're there for the ride. But I'm sure every now and then you'll look out and see the people just staring and they're daydreaming. And is there something that we can be doing in this middle layer, in the needs, that can change that? Are we leaving something short? So that's what this is about. If you're live streaming, okay, even more complex. Can people hear you clearly? Can people see you clearly? Is your lighting supplementing what is happening on stage? Is it too much and distracting? Is it too bright with, overkill lighting? Is it not enough? Do you need more lighting? Are your projections easy to read so that people can sing along to the worship or follow along with the passage that you're citing? All of these factors must be considered when you are analyzing if these middle needs are being met. Realistically, this diagram can kind of look like a mind map. It can be broken out so that there's the bubbles that keep expanding. So if you take a more complex example, we need to easily transition from music to the pastor's message with little breakdown and turnover time. That's a need. On the next level, one bubble could be, we need to strike all of the upstage mics. Have we considered wireless so that we aren't having to unplug and wrap cables and then they become a nest? Next level, how many microphones would we need? Where will that receiver be located? How far away is that from the microphones? Because, the transmission, we don't want that to get interrupted. Another bubble, we need some kind of transition happening to take people's attention away from the stage reset. So because of that, next layer, do we need a projection system to play video content in those breaks? Next layer, how many screens, how many projectors? Breaking it down as far as you could go, or at least as far as you have the knowledge to answer, can be really helpful in assessing your goals and taking away some of that anxiety when you're answering these questions. And even still, it can be overwhelming, right? Especially if you're dealing with teams of volunteers, you're not an expert, and every church or house of worship is different. You have different needs, you have different challenges. I was talking earlier about the pop-up church, right? That's what my church started in, and every Sunday they had to set up and then break down the entire thing. So you're considering gear that is portable, doesn't take up a lot of room, it's easily assembled and disassembled. There's more emphasis on road cases and gear that fits into that. For non-denominational, like mega churches, your emphasis might be more on system upgrades or stage lighting, trusses, larger and more advanced routing on more advanced audio and video gear that is more permanent, right? Because you have a sound booth dedicated to that. For the traditional house of worship, the old historic buildings that don't want to change much, systems that are hidden or integrated. They can make speakers that blend in with the wall, smaller footprints, since there probably wasn't a sound booth in the original design of the building in 1870. Semi-portable, maybe stage boxes that are hidden into the floor or the wall near the altar so that you can easily plug and unplug microphones, do a stage swap depending on what's happening on the stage or on the altar. Every church, all of these examples and so many more have different conditions, considerations, and challenges. But we are all pointed to that main goal of getting the message out, of reaching people with our message. So we have to figure out this top layer. The main message that I want to get across, and I'm sure you get it, is your equipment facilitating the needs of your church or house of worship to get your message out? That's it. That is the whole ballgame. You might have anxiety surrounding this. I totally understand, but I have more anxiety about the fact that people are leaving, people are not coming back to worship, and some of the reasons given are addressable, right? We can adapt and we can bring people in, we can get the message out. We just have to adapt and address these problems. So let's adapt and let's address these problems. Don't be afraid of it. Find some help. Find volunteers in your church, in your community, maybe on the worship team. Maybe budget to bring in somebody to consult. I understand that these are big decisions, and with big price tags, you want to find somebody that you can trust and know that what they recommend is going to be the answer that you need. So it's important to find somebody that you can trust. So here is the clunky sales pitch, right? Because I am here with Full Compass, thanks to PTZOptics. But I've also been there. I've also been a worship leader. I know how important it is to be making these investments and finding a team of people or a person that I can trust. So I'm representing Full Compass, and I just want everybody on this summit to know that we are here to help you with that process. And I know PTZOptics is as well. We have an incredibly trained sales expert team that wants to come alongside you if you want to make these upgrades, make these investments, to assess your needs, consider the unique challenges of your house of worship or your church, and find the solutions that will work for you on the budget, for the simplicity of the technology. I have some good news. Tech has become so advanced now that it actually has made things easier if you'd like. There's still pro level things that are really advanced you need to take a graduate course on, but there's so much technology and so many things out there that are plug and play. You don't have to train people. PTZOptics, for instance, if you try out the Hive software, it is so easy to use. It only takes a second to learn how to move the cameras and do everything that you want that software to do. So technology has become so advanced that they've made things easier. So don't be afraid to ask the question. Don't be afraid to ask somebody, a sales expert at Full Compass, like, hey, we don't have a very advanced, worship team, or we don't have a very advanced AV team. What do you recommend technology-wise for us? We are here to come alongside you in the beginning to make sure that your needs are being met, right? That is the middle layer, so that ultimately you can reach your goal. And just to be fair, it doesn't have to be us. If you have somebody on your team that used to run front of house on tours or whatever, there's always an expert in the church, right? If you have somebody like that, go with their recommendations. If they recommend somebody or a supplier, they can get a great deal on something, that's awesome. We just want to make sure that you are serving that ultimate goal. And so I just really appreciate Paul, I appreciate Ashley, everybody at PTZOptics for bringing me here to talk to this worship summit. Really, really clunky sales pitch. The entire month of June at Full Compass, there is the Center Stage Sales Event. And it's happening all through the month of June. Go to fullcompass.com or give us a call at 800-356-5844. There are some serious deals if you are thinking about making system upgrades. Check out fullcompass.com. And thank you again, everybody, for watching this presentation. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Nick from Full Compass. We appreciate your time and for joining us. And thank you all for watching, whether it's on Zoom. You can talk to Nick in the breakout room there in Zoom if you want to ask him any questions one-on-one. Thank you all to who's watching on YouTube, LinkedIn, and all the wonderful places that we currently are streaming. Don't forget, you can catch us at PTZOptics here on YouTube at the last Wednesday of every month. We always do a live show at the end of every month, so we'd love to have you guys there on one of our main live shows. Okay, now I know you guys have been waiting. The giveaway is important. As I mentioned early on, we are giving away a SuperJoy, our top-of-the-line camera controller. Beautiful camera controller. Something I also didn't mention about this controller is that it supports not only our cameras, it supports other cameras as well. So you can use non-PTZOptics PTZ cameras, like a Canon camera, for instance, Aver, and many other PTZ cameras on the market you can use with this controller. But I know you guys are just excited to learn who won the SuperJoy giveaway. So the winner is Crystal Vokes. So, Crystal Vokes, if you're in Zoom, I think we found you already and have clocked you in Zoom. Crystal Vokes, you got yourself a SuperJoy. So, congratulations to Crystal. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you all for joining in on the giveaway. You guys can learn more about PTZOptics at PTZOptics.com. And again, my name is John Roberts. If you guys have any questions or have anything at all that you're curious about with PTZOptics, whether it's our cameras, our controllers, you can reach out to me directly via email. And if you guys have any other questions or you guys need anything else or are curious about anything that we've spoken today at the Worship Summit Day 2, go to the breakout room. We have Nick there if you want to chat with him. Some of our other speakers, I believe, are still there. And Steven, our wonderful colleague, is also in the breakout room. So go to the breakout room if you guys want to stay connected and learn from each other. And we will see you guys in the future. And at the end of the month here, the last Wednesday of every month, we will be back to show off some great new content and new products. Alrighty. Thank you guys so much for joining us on the Worship Summit Day 2. And we will be back. Hope to see you very soon. Ta-ta, everybody.